Let's move on now to the Philadelphia Eagles in our 2023 first round draft prediction series. But before we do that, Ryan and I, we have a special announcement. We are going live on YouTube on April 27th for the NFL draft at 6:45 p.m. Central Standard Time. So be sure to join us, provide comments and questions about the channel, about the players being drafted and what our takes are. Provide your takes on if you like picks, don't like picks, and also be sure to subscribe and ring that bell so you can get notified when we go live and also when we create new content. And Ryan, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Philadelphia Eagles, Super Bowl runner-ups, and they have 2 first-round picks. That is not a bad scenario to be in. It would be better if it was Super Bowl champs, but it was such a great game. It's nothing to really hang your guys' head about. And I think you guys are. I think the Eagles are in a great spot. I'm thinking about it right now. I don't see an NFL team, an NFC team that is better than the Eagles as of this moment, personally. So I still think that they're the number one team. They're gonna beat the Cowboys. They should beat the Giants. No teams in the NFC South or West. The 49ers maybe. The 49ers could potentially, but they need to figure out the quarterback situation. So we're not talking about that. We're talking about the first round, what we think they're going to do in the first round.
Yeah.
And just like my intro right here, where I'm rambling, I'm trying to figure out my thoughts. That's the exact same thing on what I feel about on what the Eagles can do with their pick. They can go literally any direction, maybe outside a quarterback. They won't draft a quarterback. But I think that they can go any position. I think if they, in my personal opinion, went offensive line, I would totally get that because guys are getting older. If they wanted to go JSN, imagine that slot receiver position. I know they have Quez Watkins, but I think JSN would be much more efficient in that offense with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown on the other side. If they want to go defensive line with Kalijah Kancey, Jalen Carter falls to them. If Jalen Carter falls to them, this video could stop right now. They're going to go take Jalen Carter. Like that's a no-brainer.
The Javon Hargrave replacement immediately. Yeah. And
then you have Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham to also kind of mentor him during his rookie season. Which I couldn't think of a better
Jordan Davis as well.
Buddies, running mates. So that would be that wouldn't be a bad scenario, I think, for Eagles fans.
No, I think that would be a fantastic scenario. And again, like you said, if Jalen Carter's at 10, we can stop this video right now. But I don't think he's going to be there at 10. If you watched our most recent mock draft, I have a player at 10 that I absolutely love, and it's Brian Branch, the safety from Alabama. They lost Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, and that secondary is, I'll say, aging. Darius Slay is aging. James Bradbury is there, but he's on a 2-year deal, I believe. And so he's not going to be a long-term answer. I think you bring in a guy like Brian Branch who can literally play every position in the secondary.
Yeah, I will say just quick, I think both Slay and Bradbury signed 3-year deals. Now there might be team options after 2.
I want to say James Bradbury's deal didn't have a lot of guaranteed money and they can get out of it, but I could be wrong about that.
There you go.
Anyways, I still really like Brian Branch. He can fill in anywhere on this defense, and he's just a tremendous piece. Might be at the top end of where he could go in this draft at 10, but even then, I think that's a very high floor. It's a high floor, high ceiling pick, and I really like what he could do with this defense. Another guy that I really like would be Nolan Smith out of Georgia here at 10. Again, another guy who I think this might be a little bit more towards the top end of where he could go. But Nolan Smith is electric. He's a fantastic leader in the locker room. He is probably the most explosive guy in this draft at 6'2", 240. He ran a 4.39. Nobody else is doing that. There's very few guys in the NFL already that are doing that. So I really like him. He does his best work against the run as a 240-pound outside linebacker, edge rusher. And I really like him at 10 as well. So, what did you find out about their contracts?
Both, according to NFL.com, free agency tracker, they're both 3-year deals.
Okay.
And so, going to Nolan Smith, and I'm getting like Micah Parsons comparisons. Are you getting something similar to that, where they're kind of very quick, super athletic? Parsons might be a little bit bigger. That's the only thing that I'm thinking of immediately that comes to my mind.
Parsons is a little bit bigger, and Nolan Smith isn't quite as imposing on the edge.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
That's fair.
he's
But
Micah Parsons light, I guess.
well, that's what I feel like. Athleticism, though, and the edge rush, like he is so explosive off the edge. Where I think that could be a very interesting. If well, shoot, I would love it if the Falcons got a guy that was similar to Micah Parsons. I think every NFL team would want someone similar to Parsons. He's arguably one of the best edge rushers, and so, but Nolan Smith with that build and that explosiveness, I think could be very dangerous for opposing offenses, especially in that division. I'd have to go up against because if you think about it, the Giants' offensive line has struggled a little bit. Washington's offensive line is getting a little bit better, and the Dallas offensive line is good, but it is still vulnerable at times, and so
And I think you look at who they currently have on their roster. So Robert Quinn is not coming back. Brandon Graham signed a 1-year deal, and then Fletcher Cox also signed a 1-year deal.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're kind of having this turning of the tide into this younger generation. And I think Nolan Smith is a great guy that could come in and play immediately. So I really like that fit there. I do have another guy that I really like at 30 for them. I don't know if he makes it there, but John Michael Schmitz, the center from Minnesota, I didn't realize how dominant he was even after the Senior Bowl until I went back and watched him at Minnesota.
Yeah.
Like last week. He is perfect. Like he doesn't make mistakes at the center position. He communicates so well with the rest of the offensive linemen. He's fantastic. And if he's there at 30, that's a home run pick. He can play guard for you, fill in for Isaac Samalo where he left. And then after Jason Kelsey retires next season, most likely, he can kick over and be a Pro Bowl center.
Yeah. So. Yeah. He's a very good player. It's very curious on what they do with that offensive line because they're definitely guys that are of age. Jason Kelsey, obviously, they're coming back on a 1-year deal. But I'm trying to think, and this is where it's like the team is just solid overall. I think eventually in the draft they would probably address running back position, but I wouldn't do it here as much as like a Bijan Robinson or Jahmyr Gibbs sounds great. I feel like you could get more value. But a John Michael Schmitz, I think would do really well. I think if let's say they went secondary with 10, but I think went defensive line here, like let's say they went Maisie Smith, or maybe if they went if Kalijah Cansey falls that far. I know I have mocked him up higher than I think other people might have mocked him, but I've also seen some mocks where he is in this range, the high 20s, low 30s.
So one of the things that I saw about Kalijah Cansey, and I still really like him as a prospect, but he only has like 31-inch arms or like 30-inch arms.
Well, so yeah.
And so while I still like him as a prospect, that is very concerning because his success rate is like 6% for defensive linemen with arm length, with that level of arm length.
Yeah. I can understand all that stuff, and it's very possible. But at the same time, though, then Nolan Smith, who's super explosive, but also very tiny as well for an edge rusher. Like,
he meets arm length requirements. He just is 240 pounds.
Well, they're not requirements. They're just they're just of the bell curve.
Yeah,
this is where he would fall. This is where he would fall. So I'm not saying that you're wrong, but something with Kalijah Cansey, with how quick he is and how also quick his hands are, he's had to deal with that his whole career, and it's something similar. This argument could go as well with Bryce Young for the quarterback, but he's had to deal with that his whole career. So he had to get really good at it and be super quick with his hands, be the first one to get hands on the other guy, so then he can have that leverage.
Yeah.
And now, of course, he hasn't done it in the NFL yet, so I totally get that. I totally get that argument as well. But he has shown that he can learn to do it, and I think if he's there at 30. I think that would be
that'd be good value. I do have that one concern with him there.
Yeah.
So, but so all in all, I think the Eagles can go a lot of different ways. They have a very good team and a lot of flexibility. I do think, just looking at it, I think this is where Bijan Robinson starts to really come into play, is at 10 to 25, I think is going to be his spot.
Yeah.
And while I understand spending a top 10 pick on a running back would be a little bit excessive, 104 missed tackles in one college season sounds pretty appealing to an offense that likes to run the ball 65% of the time.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say, and I said this, we just did the Falcons video. That video should also be coming out about this time, so go check it out. I just think, I mean, Miles, they had 4 great years with Miles Sanders, and he was a 1,200-yard rusher last year. I believe they got him in the 3rd round 4 years ago. You know, and he's one of the top running backs in the league. Like, you can go get Zach Charbonnet. You can wait for maybe if Jahmyr Gibbs falls. There's also Kendre Miller. There's Zach Evans. You know, there's a lot of other guys that are really good running backs. Bijan Robinson is the best of all the running backs, and if he's there at 30, okay, then I can see your argument there, because then you get that extra fifth year. But at 10, I look at the other talent where you can go and address. You can provide cornerback depth even with one of the secondaries that's available. You can address the defensive line. You can address the offensive line if you'd want. You can address the receiver position. Shoot, if Dallas go there, I'm trying to remember his contract situation, but no, don't get tight end. I also wouldn't like that. I think that's way too early for tight end.
Yeah.
So that's another deep class that you can go get later on.
Yeah. So my only, I agree with everything you said. My only thing is, for a team that is clearly in a win now mode after they just signed Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox to one year deals, going and adding a playmaker like Bijan Robinson, who, maybe by the end of his contract is playing closer to the Ramondre Stevensons and like what Saquon Barkley is now. He's playing close to that. I think his first 2 to 3 years in the NFL could be over 2,000 all-purpose yards, which has only been done a few times by a running back. And again, for an offense that likes to run the ball close to 65% of the time, that to me might be worth it to go and get that elite of a running back. They also have the luxury of going and doing that this year.
Yeah.
It's not like they're the Titans where it's like, okay, well, we have a lot of holes to fill and we're strapped a little bit for picks. And so but we're going to take Bijan because he's the best player available. Well, I get that, but you could have gotten somebody that would have made a slightly bigger impact. Whereas like the Eagles, they have a need at running back. They need to win now, and they're going to utilize that running back to its most, like to the most. So that to me, I think starts to be in consideration, because I don't think he's going to make it to 30. And I think if they want to trade up, they're going to have to give up one of those seconds and then a little bit more, because they're going to have to get in front of Baltimore. They'll probably have to get down before the 20s, I think. Yeah. And that's if
that's fair.
That's if New England or Green Bay or one of those guys don't take him.
And so this will be my last thing to wrap up this video, though. So instead of trading up, you could trade back from 10.
Yeah,
you want to trade back from 10, because I know people might be wanting to take a tackle. People might want to be taking secondary or receiver, or just moving up for whatever reasons, and then they can go and get if Will Levis falls, so to say, and then they can move back a little bit, and then they can take Bijan in that. Let's say Pittsburgh really wants to move up and go get a guy at 17. I think that would be fair. But that's an interesting scenario, though, and you make good points too about how they're in a win now mode. I agree with that. So but it's going to be interesting. The Eagles are in a very interesting spot.
Yeah, and they have 2 first-round picks, so it's going to be really exciting. Let us know down in the comments what you want to see the Philadelphia Eagles do at 10 and 30. Go ahead, smash that subscribe button, hit that like button, and ring that bell so you get notified when time I create new content. And one more time, we are going live on April 27th. So go ahead, go over to our channel, hit that bell on that video so you get notified when we go live, and you can see our reaction to the draft picks as they come in. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.